April 1995, the internet was in its infancy. It was a place of dial-up tones and text-based bulletin boards. But for a dying girl in Beijing, it became a lifeline. When China's best doctors were baffled, a desperate message was cast into the digital void, reaching the other side of the world. The responses that came back pinpointed a poison so rare, so insidious, that it seemed like something out of an Agatha Christie novel. The diagnosis was a miracle, but for the victim, Zhu Ling, it was already too late. The poison had done its damage, and the question of who put it there would ignite a mystery that has haunted China for 3 decades. Zhu Ling was a student in the Department of Physical Chemistry and had access to labs. But in her world, access to dangerous materials was strictly controlled. Among her circle, only one person had official, sanctioned access to a thallium salt for their graduate research. That person was her classmate and roommate, Sun Wei. But at this point, no one was thinking about thallium. They were just worried about their friend. It started in December 1994. Zhu Ling experienced excruciating stomach pain. Then, her hair began to fall out in clumps. She was admitted to a hospital, and after a few weeks, the symptoms mysteriously subsided. Doctors were puzzled, but she was well enough to return to campus for the new year. But in March of 1995, the nightmare returned, and this time, it was far worse. The pain in her stomach returned, but now it spread to her legs. She lost control of her eye muscles. Her face began to droop. Within days, she was on a respirator, unable to breathe on her own. Moved to the best hospital in Beijing, the Peking Union Medical College Hospital. The country's top doctors were stumped. One veteran physician, Dr. Li Shunwei, recalled a similar case from the 1960s. He suspected thallium poisoning. But when asked, Zhu Ling, a chemistry student, said she had never handled the substance. The university confirmed it wasn't part of her coursework. The theory was dismissed. Instead, they treated her for Guillain-Barré syndrome, a rare neurological disorder. But with each day, her condition deteriorated. Her family watched in despair as she slipped closer to death. Desperate and out of options, 2 of Zhu Ling's friends from the neighboring Peking University, Beiji Cheng and Sai Quanchen, decided to take an unprecedented gamble. Sai had access to one of the only internet connections in all of China through his advisor. On April 10, 1995, they typed out an SOS in English and posted it to 3 Usenet news groups, hoping someone, anywhere in the world, could help. Within hours, the messages came flooding in. Over 2,000 responses from doctors, researchers, and medical students across the globe. The messages were collected and reviewed by a graduate student and a professor at UCLA. The consensus was overwhelming. Thallium, it's a heavy metal. It's odorless, it's tasteless, and it's incredibly deadly. In its salt form, it dissolves perfectly in liquid, leaving no trace. It's often called the poisoner's poison. The symptoms describe the ascending paralysis, the stomach pain, the hair losser, the classic hallmarks of thallium toxicity. It attacks the nervous system, destroying it from the extremities inward. Armed with this information, the Chinese doctors ran the test. The results were staggering. Zhu Ling's body contained a concentration of thallium thousands of times higher than a lethal dose. They immediately administered the antidote, a brilliant blue dye called Prussian blue, which binds to the thallium and allows the body to excrete it. The treatment saved her life, but it was too late to undo the damage. With the diagnosis confirmed, the police were finally notified in May 1995, nearly 6 months after the first poisoning. Their investigation focused on who had access to thallium. The trail led directly back to Tsinghua's chemistry department. The only person with a direct connection to Zhu Ling who had signed off on a thallium compound for their research was her roommate, Sun Wei. In 1997, Sun Wei was detained and interrogated by police for 8 hours. She was officially considered a suspect. But after that day, she was released. And in 1998, the police closed the case. Their statement: a lack of direct evidence. But for the public, and for Zhu Ling's family, this explanation was not enough. Rumors began to swirl. Sun Wei, it was revealed, came from a powerful political family. Her grandfather was a senior Chinese official, and another relative was a former vice mayor of Beijing. Many believed that this political connection created an impenetrable shield, protecting her from prosecution. The police have always denied any interference, but the suspicion has never gone away. Zhu Ling survived, but her life was irrevocably stolen. The thallium left her paralyzed, almost blind, and with severe cognitive impairments. For nearly 30 years, she required 24-hour care, which her devoted parents provided. They watched their brilliant daughter trapped in a body that no longer worked. A victim, not just of a poisoner, but of a justice system that had failed her. The case refused to die. In 2013, after a similar poisoning at another university, public outrage reignited. A petition was posted on the U.S. White House website, demanding the extradition and investigation of Sun Wei, who was by then living in the United States. It gathered over 100,000 signatures. The White House responded, calling the poisoning a tragedy, but declined to intervene, stating it was a matter of law enforcement. In 2018, a glimmer of scientific hope emerged. Using advanced technology, an international team of scientists analyzed hairs from Zhu Ling's blanket, preserved by her parents for over 20 years. The results, published in a forensic journal, provided a chilling timeline. The analysis suggested she had been poisoned not just once, but multiple times over several months, with the doses increasing in frequency and size towards the end. It was a methodical, sustained, and intentional act. On December 22, 2023, Zhu Ling's long ordeal finally came to an end. She passed away from a brain tumor at the age of 50. Her death, while a release from her suffering, ignited a final wave of mourning and calls for justice. Her elderly parents, now in their 80s, have not given up. In April 2024, Zhu Ling's father, Wu Chengzi, submitted a formal application to Chinese prosecutors, requesting oversight of the original investigation and urging them to reopen the case, alleging misconduct in how it was originally handled. The prosecutors confirmed they had received the application. The Zhu Ling case is more than a true crime story. It is a ghost that haunts the Chinese internet, a symbol of the gap between the promise of justice and the perception of privilege. The poison that destroyed Zhu Ling was thallium, but the poison that lingers is the suspicion that power can silence the truth. And until that truth is finally uncovered, the question of who poisoned Zhu Ling will never be just about a person. It will be about a system. Thanks for watching.